Warning: Gemini season begins May 20th. The most electric season in 84 years just opened, and your sign isn't ready. In 3 days, the sun crosses the threshold into Gemini, and the season that begins is not the season you remember. Every year around May 20th, the sun enters the sign of the twins, and the world speeds up. Conversations multiply. Ideas arrive in pairs. The air itself seems to carry more information than it did the day before. But this year, something is waiting on the other side of that threshold that has not been there since 1942. Uranus. The planet of revolution, of shock, of the kind of change that does not ask permission. Uranus entered Gemini 3 weeks ago for the first time in 84 years. And now the sun, the spotlight of the zodiac, walks into the same room and turns every light on at once. This is not an ordinary Gemini season. This is the opening chapter of a 7-year revolution in how we think, how we speak, and how we connect. And whatever happens in these next 30 days sets the tone for the entire cycle. 2 days after the sun enters Gemini, on May 22nd, it will form an exact conjunction with Uranus at 1 degree and 31 minutes. The cazimi, the sun swallowing the revolutionary. That single day will encode the frequency of this entire season into one flash of light. But the season itself is the container. The cazimi is the spark. What you do with the other 29 days determines whether that spark ignites something or fades. Here is what nobody is connecting. Mercury, the ruler of Gemini, already entered this sign on May 17th and immediately collided with Uranus. The circuit was activated. The wiring went live. Then the sun arrives on May 20th and floods the circuit with light. Then on May 22nd, the sun hits Uranus directly. 3 activations in 5 days. Mercury wired it. The sun lit it. Uranus detonated it. By the time this sequence completes, the mental landscape of your life will have been rearranged, and you will not be able to put it back the way it was. In the next few minutes, you will learn 3 things. First, why this Gemini season carries a weight that no Gemini season in living memory has carried, and what the last Uranus in Gemini era produced. Second, where this electric season activates your chart by sign, and which area of your life is about to be rewired for the next 7 years. And third, a practice for the full 30 days of Gemini season that allows you to ride the lightning instead of being struck by it. If your mind has been racing since mid-May, if ideas are arriving faster than your hands can catch them, if conversations have been veering into unexpected territory without warning, stay here. The season that just opened is not background noise. It is the main event. The last time Uranus occupied Gemini during a full Gemini season, the world was unrecognizable by the time it left. Between 1942 and 1949, the Enigma code was broken. The first electronic computers were built. Television entered the home. Jet engines replaced propellers. Nuclear energy was unleashed. The United Nations was formed, and the way human beings communicated, processed information, and understood reality was dismantled and rebuilt from the ground up. Every single time Uranus passes through Gemini, the medium of thought itself is shattered and replaced. Not the content of what we think, the technology through which thought travels. The printing press, the telegraph, the radio, the computer. And now, in 2026, whatever comes next. This Gemini season is the first full month where the sun illuminates Uranus in this sign. It is the introduction, the overture, the moment the lights come up and the audience sees the stage for the first time. What is revealed in these 30 days will shape the next 7 years. The ancient Greeks understood Gemini through the myth of Castor and Pollux, the Dioscuri, twin brothers born from the same mother but with different fathers. Castor was mortal, Pollux was divine. They were inseparable until death separated them, and when Castor fell in battle, Pollux chose to share his immortality rather than live forever without his twin. Zeus placed them both in the sky, alternating between Olympus and the underworld, never in the same place at the same time, but forever connected. That is the archetype of Gemini, two versions of the same truth, one mortal, one divine, one visible, one hidden. And the conversation between them is the engine of everything this sign produces. When Uranus electrifies this sign, the conversation between the twins accelerates beyond anything the old wiring could handle. The mortal twin and the divine twin start speaking at the same time. Ideas that belong to the future arrive in present tense language. Thoughts you have never had before enter your mind wearing familiar clothes. You recognize them and do not recognize them simultaneously. That dissonance is not confusion. That is the frequency of the new era arriving through the only sign fast enough to carry it. Your body is already tuning to the new frequency. Your hands have been restless for weeks, reaching for devices, for pens, for keyboards, as if something is trying to speak through your fingertips. Gemini rules the hands and the arms. When the sun enters this sign with Uranus waiting, the hands become instruments of transmission. What you write, type, and gesture in the next 30 days carries more creative charge than anything you produced in the last 6 months. Your breathing has shifted. Shallow, quick, alert. Not anxiety, but acceleration. Gemini governs the lungs and the respiratory system. The body is increasing its oxygen intake because the mind is about to demand more fuel. If you have been yawning more than usual, that is the nervous system opening the airways for what is coming. Your voice. A strange awareness of your own speech. Hearing yourself say things you did not plan to say. Starting sentences without knowing how they end. Words arriving from a part of your mind you do not normally access. That is Mercury and Uranus collaborating through your vocal cords. The filter between thought and speech is thinning. What comes through the gap is not always comfortable, but it is always more honest than what the filter would have allowed. Now let me show you where this electric season lands. Because the sun in Gemini illuminates a specific house in your chart for 30 days, and with Uranus sitting in the same sign, that house is not just lit, it is electrified. If you were born under Gemini or Gemini rising, this is your season. The sun returns to your first house and meets Uranus there for the first time in your lifetime at this sign. The next 30 days redefine who you are, not gradually, suddenly. Ideas about your identity that felt fixed will loosen. The way you present yourself to the world is being upgraded. Let the old version go. The new one is already speaking through you. Sagittarius or Sagittarius rising, the 7th house. Partnerships are electrified. Expect the unexpected in your closest relationship. A conversation changes the terms. A person arrives or departs without warning. The dynamic you relied on is being rewired, and what replaces it will be more alive than what it replaces. Virgo or Virgo rising, the 10th house. Career. This Gemini season puts a spotlight on your professional life that comes with voltage. A sudden opportunity, a shift in direction, an idea about your work that arrives from nowhere and refuses to leave. Your public identity is being rewritten. Pisces or Pisces rising, the 4th house. Home, roots. The foundation of your inner world is electrified. Something about where you live or how you live is about to change. Not the slow Taurus kind of change, the sudden Uranus kind. A move, a revelation, a decision that rewires your relationship with home. Aries or Aries rising, the 3rd house. Communication itself. Gemini season lights up your house of speech, writing, and daily thought. With Uranus here, the way you express yourself is undergoing a revolution. An idea arrives that does not fit your existing vocabulary. Build new words around it. Libra or Libra rising, the ninth house. Belief, philosophy. A thought so unexpected it rewrites your worldview. Travel plans that form suddenly. A teacher or teaching that arrives without introduction. Your mental horizon is expanding, and the expansion is permanent. Taurus or Taurus rising, the second house. Value, money. An unexpected shift in your financial landscape. The revolution moves from your identity last season to your resources this season. Scorpio or Scorpio rising, the eighth house. Intimacy. A truth surfaces through an unguarded conversation. What was hidden becomes visible, and the visibility is the gift. Leo or Leo rising, the 11th house. Community. The group around you is being rewired. New connections form with electric speed. The future you imagined is being upgraded by people you have not yet met. Aquarius or Aquarius rising, the 5th house. Creativity. Romance. Your ruling planet Uranus in a fellow air sign electrifies your pleasure center. The next 30 days are the most creatively charged of your year. Cancer or Cancer rising, the 12th house. The unconscious. Dreams become electric. Pay attention to what appears between consciousness and sleep. That is where the revolution is happening for you. Capricorn or Capricorn rising, the 6th house. Daily routines. A new tool or method enters your life and makes the old way instantly obsolete. One small change cascades. Now here is what you do with this. On the evening of May 20th, when the sun has officially entered Gemini, take 2 pieces of paper. On the first, write the question, what is the most important conversation I need to have in the next 30 days? On the second, write, what is the idea I keep dismissing that will not go away? Place both papers face down on a surface where you will see them every morning. Each day of Gemini season, when you wake, turn one paper over. Alternate. Day 1, the conversation. Day 2, the idea. Read it. Let it sit in your mind for the first 5 minutes of the day before any screen, any message, any voice enters. By the end of the season, around June 20th, both questions will have answered themselves. Not because you forced an answer, because 30 days of returning to the same 2 questions while Uranus rewires the circuitry of your mind will produce a clarity that no amount of rushing could replicate. The twins work in alternation. One question, then the other. One breath, then the next. That rhythm is the engine of the most powerful Gemini season in 84 years. The spotlight is on. The circuit is live. And the season that just opened will be written about in astrology books for decades. The only question is, what you do inside it. If something sparked while you listened, write it below. The conversation you need to have. The idea that will not leave. Your signal becomes the frequency for the next person who reads it. Subscribe and turn on the bell, because on May 22nd, the sun swallows Uranus, and the cazimi at the heart of this season will change how you think for the next 7 years. The universe has spoken. What comes next is in your hands.